So Ruben Amorim has had a full calendar year in charge of United, and he's had the equivalent of a full Prem season in charge as well. And even though he wants me to forget all that happened last season, I can't. It's still giving me nightmares. But United are probably on their best run of form that we've seen under him. We're 5 undefeated in the league, so it's a start. But I'm here today to look at how much United has improved in that full year that Amorim's been in charge. As always, guys, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's take a look.
Okay, let's go.
First up, I'm going to talk about the in-possession stuff, and specifically United in attack, as we did prioritise that area in the summer, and how much has that helped now? At first glance, the stats, they look good. We're 4th in total shots, and our expected goals has us right up there with the best in the league. And Mbeumo has proven to be one of the signings of the summer, and his link up with Ahmad is giving us a constant threat now. And Amorim simply trusting Ahmad more has given United so much more in attack. What we were seeing last season was constantly having 2 full-backs out at wing-back, but we have so much more output when we have Ahmad there, even if we are risking it a little bit more defensively then. These shot and XG numbers have started to fall in recent weeks though. It wasn't that long ago and we were top of total shots, our XG was right up there, and we were performing underneath that XG as well. So everything has started to balance out a little bit now. And I think it highlights the main problems United have in attack. United is still so much more comfortable playing on the counter-attack rather than anything else from open play. What we've seen in the last couple of weeks against Forest and Spurs is teams happier to sit in a mid-block against United, as they've noticed how good we are on the counter-attack. So they're asking United now, go on then, break us down. And we've really struggled to do it. United and Spurs played out a real snooze fest until the last 10 minutes, as both teams were happy to sit in that mid-block tactic and neither could really play through it. It's an area where I had my worries before the season even started. We still don't pin teams in their own half, and we still don't have reliable ways to break down a low block. A clear sign is the fact that we win more games when we have less than 50% of the ball. Eventually United will have to evolve, but both Ole and Ten Hag tried, but they didn't succeed at it during their times in charge. So can Amorim really change that trend now? And United have a run of games now where we're going to be expected to have more of the ball. So I'm really interested to see in the coming weeks what Amorim comes up with in terms of improvement to really break down a more stubborn mid to low block. That's going to be the next real challenge now for Amorim's United. Taking it a step back now and looking at United in build-up. Because last season United under Amorim were trying to play out, but we faced constant issues. And United have the same issues every time they try and build. They go to the goalkeeper, the centre-back pushes up into midfield, which is mainly only really useful for the direct play as it does push a number 6 high, so we've got an extra man for the second balls. United predictably pass it to one side, and then they get trapped. Hell, even Grimsby were able to do this up against United. You can see in this sequence here, Grimsby, quite a high press. Onana goes out to the left centre-back, which is heaven on this occasion. Again, he's forced to go one way. Dogu is then forced to go back to Aiden Heaven, and then United end up kicking it long. And this isn't just the United under Amorim issue either. Sporting also had a very similar problems. I've gone back and watched quite a few Sporting games from their time in the Champions League in particular. When you're coming up against better opposition, they will press you a little bit more. Up against the likes of Atalanta, up against the likes of Lille, I'm going to show you in this instance, Sporting did really struggle to progress the ball. You can see again here, as the ball goes out wide to the wide centre-back. The centre-back is pushed up in the midfield. The ball ends up going out to the wing-back, but then he's forced just to do a first time, quick long ball over the top, trying to hope that, obviously it was Gyökeres at that time, but United now under Seshko, trying to hope that they can bring it down. It's a little bit hopeful at times. And Amorim's answer to the issues so far in the Premier League has been a pragmatic one. And it's been similar to what Ten Hag did during his early time in charge of United as well. If in doubt, kick it out. In fact, under Amorim, this really started after that Grimsby game, where against Sunderland, we took absolutely zero risks. And then in following games, we occasionally play out from the back whenever we can, but we still don't take many risks with it. And the approach was there even when Bayende was in goals. But now with Lamens, we've just doubled down on it. And it's led us to having the second amount of long passes completed, only behind bottom of the table Wolves. So United have gone to the tactic of trying to win these second balls higher up the pitch in order to progress, in order to create chances. And to their credit, they're winning more second balls this season than they have done previously. I will always credit Amrim in terms of the fitness of these players. After that pre-season, it did look as if they came out of the blocks up against the likes of Arsenal to start the season, and United straight away just looked very, very sharp. I will give credit to Amorim for the fitness side of things. But to play this style and to really try and win so many of these second balls, there's always going to be question marks over the sustainability of it. Because surely now if the plan is to eventually win the Prem, which obviously United under Amrim, he's talking about it, Wilcox and co, they've talked about it. Surely if the aim is to eventually win the Premier League, then some sort of short build-up, reliable structure will have to be implemented, and it's got to be improved on, as constantly fighting for second balls does reduce the game down to a little bit of chance sometimes. And again, Ten Hag failed in evolving United that way. He got third in his first season, really playing that sort of pragmatic approach, but when he tried to move away from that, that's when his United team did really lose the plot there. And some will try and tell me that Amorim does want to try and build, but he just simply doesn't have the players for it. And to that, well, I raise you the fact that United in the summer, if Amorim's intention was truly to try and build, would we have signed Seshko? Like, was it really needed to sign a guy who you're really aiming those long balls to? Yes, he's better at winning those long balls than Højlund was, but is that obviously the intention after that summer transfer window? I think it highlights the fact that it is, being as though the fact that we brought that 6'4" striker to the club. And then you add into that then that probably our most press-resistant midfielder can barely see any minutes in the Premier League. Obviously, Mino, a lot is talked about his defensive side of things and how he struggles with that part of his game. But to be honest, that's way, way overblown. The stuff he would give us in possession would heavily outweigh all of the defensive issues. But the fact that he isn't playing speaks a lot about what Amorim wants to do with his team. So while Amorim has made us competitive in almost every game now, and that's always going to be a good thing, eventually, like Ten Hag had to try and do, he's going to have to try and implement some sort of build-up structure. And the big question marks then is going to be whether that's going to be successful or not.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Moving on to the out-of-possession side of things now, and this is where United clearly have the most issues. For the back five team, we still concede a ridiculous amount of goals, and that's really what's holding us back. For some reason, a lot of these goals come in the second half. We're going to talk a bit more about that later on. Amorim has ditched the 5-2-3, which is a big improvement structure-wise for us. What we saw last season and onto this season as well at the start of it was this sort of shape. You'd see United's two in midfield, have acres of space all around them, as United's three in attack would try and press a little bit, and then the back five would just sit and stay where they are. But it would cause absolute havoc. You can see here with Newcastle how they could get men around United's two in midfield and simply just outnumber them and have a load of space to play through. Again, even as the ball has progressed a little bit more, the space between United's defence and midfield was just far too big. And then again, even in this season as well, you can see as United's front three are trying to press, they're doing a lot of running, but a lot of it is sort of aimless running as the structure just isn't good enough. The ball comes out wide here to Brentford's fullback, United's front three are just passed out of the game, United's midfield two can't get out as they're already marking a couple of people in midfield as it is. United's back five's pinned. Brentford can easily play out of that situation. So in recent games, especially with Ahmad at wing back now, we're seeing more of a sort of situational 4-4-2 that can move into the 5-4-1 when we are sitting a little bit deeper. So on paper, those setups are going to be a lot more solid. And United, like many teams in the league right now, don't press heavily from open play. Teams are deciding now that that's just far too risky to do it consistently. So the teams are just not really pressing as much. We've seen that current trend now. But United have shown good instances of it from goal kicks. Even the diamond setup was being used up against Spurs to good effect. And the aggression of United centre-backs has also been much improved this season as well. In recent games we've saw up against Brighton and Tottenham in particular, there were instances of both Shaw and De Ligt really doing well now at closing down the spaces in midfield and really suffocating the opposition. We saw this at times last season, but we just never really saw it enough. But now this season, we're seeing it far more consistently. But now looking at why United in the second half of games have been so bad, and I'm trying to do some digging, and I've found a couple of reasons that could be at fault, but we're never going to really know what the true reasons are, but Amorim has to sort it out now. I think for one, for United, we do sit back far too early in games. We spend a lot of time leading in games. We saw the stats for that are really good. But then we're not converting that into points. We saw that up against Tottenham. We start to sit more and more in that 5-4-1. Some of the defensive subs are a little bit cautious as well, but we seem to do it far too early, and it invites pressure onto us. You combine that with the second ball tactic that we're running with the ball, and it just allows other teams back into it. I don't care how good your defense is. If you're consistently giving the ball away cheaply, and you provide little threat to the opposition when you are trying to sit in that low block as well, you're always going to be asking for trouble. And another reason could easily be the subs from Amorim, as they've always really been questionable during his time at United. I ranted about it after that Spurs game. When you're changing that much of your back five, it was only Luke Shaw in that game that remained in his own position that he started the game in. When you're changing your back five around that much, I can't see how that helps your defensive solidarity at all. And then you add into that the squad depth issues that we've currently got when you're taking performing players like Casemiro off, then all of it then just leads into this cauldron of United just being a little bit uncertain in defence. De Ligt did say that United were tired after that recent game, but that excuse doesn't wash for me. These players right now, in the last couple of games especially, were going up against teams that are playing in Europe. They're playing twice a week. United were 1 game a week now. If we're getting more tired than other teams, something is seriously going wrong. And looking forward now to the fixtures United have. Amorim has brought himself some breathing room. Getting those 5 games undefeated is obviously massive in terms of where he stands in his United career. Because before that, there were a lot of people were calling for his head and he was under a lot of trouble, and you could easily see why. But he's done something now to get United some results. But we're going to keep needing to see some improvements throughout the rest of the season. We're still only sitting in that sort of really precarious position in the league table. If we get some wins, you're right up there. If you lose a couple of games, then you're right down in the sort of mid-table stuff, even in the bottom half of the table. So United, we're not out of the woods just yet. But we have got a favourable run of fixtures, but that also leads into interesting stuff. As United, I've never really done things the easy way in recent seasons. So I'm not taking any of these games for granted now. But I can't wait to see how United are doing. We're going to have to wait until after the international break to see if Amorim can make any more improvements with this United team. I just really hope that he can. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. As always, guys, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one.